Hey guys, this video is just going to be about the operations of the Freebird. So if you've got things better to do than watch this, go right ahead. All right, I've got the cover off. One of these screws in the front is a Phillips head screw. You do not need to remove that to get the cover off. There are two 3mm Allen screws on either side towards the rear that need to come out for this to come off. And this is a clamshell. It is held together in the front by that one screw. Alright, I have it off now for demonstration purposes, and apparently one of the bolts didn't make it through the move, so I'm missing a bolt in the prototype. Alright, your basics. It accepts an AR-15 collapsible stock. These are 6-position buffer tubes. So your stock is probably different than this one. I do have stocks like this available for Freebirds if you like this, other than the one that I've been advertising. But you just press down on the button and get it to the desired length. And there's an adjustment near there for you, if not dead on. Alrighty. Your BBs go in this door. And it just slides, it just pivots on here. Yeah, it's not the best, but it's what we have for now. I did see where Ronald, he sent me some pictures of his. Maybe I'll throw it up here. But he painted it green, and he put a neodymium magnet right in there because it is easy to forget that this door is open and then tip it over and then be chasing BBs. Basic functions. Yeah, to replace the batteries, what you do is you loosen that screw, and that allows you to unscrew the stock with buffer tube where your batteries are stored, and then you can remove the batteries, charge them up, put them back in there, negative side down, screw it back to the proper orientation where the screw will lock in with the buffer tube. Turn the gun on, you press the switch in the down position. The first button is your fire rate, and the 3 dashes designate full auto. Well, this is not really the fire rate, this is the burst rate. So we have 1 all the way to 10 round burst. So you can choose a 1 to a 10 round burst at any rate of fire that you want. Second button is our actual rate of fire button. We have 470 rounds a minute, 600, 800, 1000, 1500, 2000, 2500, 3000, 3500, 4000, 4500, and 5000 as any fire rate that you would like to shoot. Now this third button is your pulse width duration. What that does is it controls how long current electricity is applied to the solenoid, which in turn controls how much air goes into each individual shot. The numerical representation is for milliseconds, so it starts at 3 milliseconds, and we have half milliseconds now, which is wonderful for the higher fire rates, because a half a millisecond of your valve being open can make a world of difference when you get into the really high fire rates. So 3.5 milliseconds, 4, 4.5, and this goes all the way to what, 11 milliseconds? Okay, now when you first get your gun, what you want to do to fine-tune the full auto is pick a fire rate. I tell you, you're wasting your time on picking fire rates up to about 2,000. Just put your pulse on 7 milliseconds and you're good to go there. On any fire rate, anything above 7 milliseconds is wasting air. You might be able to get away with 9 if you had a 700 millimeter barrel, but throughout all my testing, after 7 milliseconds, you're just wasting air. What it will do is it'll be louder and it'll push you back a little bit further. So, I mean, it feels fun. So if it feels fun, do it, I guess. But, yeah, anything above second, especially for the 400 millimeter barrel, is just going to be wasting air. If you had a 700 millimeter barrel, I'd put it on a chronograph and see if you got any more. You might get a little bit more feet per second, up to 9 milliseconds in that case. But let's say we've got it on 7 milliseconds, and we'll remember what pulse width duration it's on for any given pulse, or any given fire rate when you come back to it. That's also a really nice feature of these 5K boards. But let's say you're at 2,500 and you want to find the optimal pulse for it. It might be below 7. So you could start low and then work your way up. It works fine on 3, works fine on 4, works fine on 5. Of course, there's half milliseconds in between there. And it works fine. It might work fine on 7, and then just move on. Now, you're at 3,000 rounds a minute. Let's say you start on 3, works fine, up to 4, works fine, 4.5 works fine, and then 5, it starts not so. Just jump down one, move on to your next fire rate, and then you just repeat the process for your other fire rates. Just get it as high as you can, and that's going to put the most power into your shots. And in the really high fire rates, what can happen is you can run into timing issues if it's too high, and then it'll just run really rough. So back it down if it gets too rough. To adjust the clutch, let's show you what we have going on here. This gear right here is your clutch gear. It slips, well, this plate slips on this gear. And yours is going to look a little bit different because these are Blackbird parts in the prototype. But anyway, same scenario. You'll have a metal plate and you'll have a plastic gear. The metal plate slips on the gear when it comes into enough resistance to make it slip. For example, we can see that there are BBs going all the way into the valve body at this point. So if I turn the gun on, the preload is just going to spin the clutch. So we'll turn it off. And you see our clutch plate, none of this stuff moved, but the gear moved. That's because this clutch plate has like a key on the inside diameter that fits into a flat place on this bolt. So it can move independent of that. Now, if your clutch is too loose, what will happen is you have BBs coming up here going into your valve body. If the clutch is too loose, what the air pressure is going to do is you have your air coming in here, and between the air and battery is your valve. So when the valve opens, it not only shoots the BB out, some air also pushes down the line of BBs as they're coming up. So air going down can either cause your, I'm not sure if it can cause it to slip backwards, but it can cause your clutch to slip while no BBs are moving into battery. Now, if you have a BB about 3/4 of an inch out of battery or less, and you get a shot of air over that BB, it will venturi the BB out of the barrel at a low velocity. Immediately after that, what happens is that since you've got low pressure in here at that point, the loose clutch will get a BB up into battery, and that BB will come out at full velocity and hit the low velocity BB, and they will go off like that. Sometimes you can see it happen outside when it's nice and sunny, but you don't really want that to happen. So that is an indication that your clutch is too loose or you've got too much air pressure. So it could be one or the other. To tighten your clutch, I was seeing if I could do it. To tighten the clutch, you want to hold onto the auger. Holding on to the auger allows you to turn this nut one way or the other. Because if you try to turn it without holding on to that, you see, it'll spin your auger. Now, if you get it too tight, let's get it too tight. You're not going to hear the clutch spinning when you turn it on, for one. So we'll turn it off. Well, it did spin it. Let's try to get it tighter. Okay, it is not wanting to cooperate, but you can hear that, all that drag in that clutch. Whereas if you had it looser, and you guys with Superbirds just be doing that, I mean, you know, you know how cool that is to be able to do that. You other guys, you have no clue. All right. So you can definitely hear a difference, right? Okay, well, that's how you tighten or loosen your clutch. It's way less fickle than a Superbird, and it is way easier to adjust. All right, that's about it for the operation of Freebird. Leave a like, comment. If you have any questions, drop them down below. One more thing. If you put the gun down and leave it on, you're going to ruin your batteries. So if you found that you left it on and it doesn't work, that's because you need new batteries. The lithium-ion cells will only go down to about 2 volts before they get damaged. So don't leave it on. Later.